Hello and good morning, my beautiful intuitive butterflies, and welcome to this Monday, August the 22nd, 2022. That's a lot of twos in there. I wonder if the cards will show us that we're facing a duality today, seeing as we've got a lot of twos in there. Okay, so let's get started on this week's cards and this week's guidance for all of you. Excuse the sun and the lighting. I don't do professional lighting. I don't have anything special. I just have a lot of sun coming through the window out there. So as the next 30 minutes or so progress, the lighting in here is going to change and do its own little thing. So as always, we're going to start with a lit white candle. Today I've decided to use some copal. We're going to light the copal. And as we do so, we're going to call in the energies of Mother Earth, the energies of the oceans and seas, which would be the water. Call in the energy of the air, which is represented here by the smoke, and call in the energy of the fire. All right, and we're going to smudge and cleanse and clear all of our cards for today. We're going to call in the four directions today as well. We're going to call in the energies from the east, the energies from the south, the energies from the west, and the energies from the north. And we call in the energy of the divine creator, and we bring it down through our crown chakra and all the way down through into Mother Earth and bring it back up and around on both sides. And we give thanks. All right. So let's move all of this smoking, flaming stuff off to the side and hope that it's not going to disrupt the camera too much. Okay, so today I finally managed to unpack a box that has been packed up for quite some time, and I came across all of my crystals and stones and little treasures that I love. So today, instead of just picking a deck, I'd like for each of you to just take a moment, take a couple of deep breaths, and concentrate on the following stones. And well, one of them isn't actually a stone, but concentrate on each one of these and let me know which one you're drawn to in the comments, and let me know which one you're going to pick. So if you are drawn towards this one, this is a piece of raw amethyst. So if you're drawn to this, you'll be drawn to pile number 1 today and deck number 1. This is raw amethyst. There is a little bit of a story behind this. I actually mined this piece of amethyst myself when I was 21 years old in Thunder Bay, Ontario, when I did a trip across Canada in order to go find myself. You know how in the 60s and early 70s, a lot of the hippies wanted to go on trips after they finished university to go find themselves? This was my finding myself trip. So if you're drawn to amethyst, you will be getting a card or two from deck number 1 today. This second piece is a piece of amber. It's a piece of amber, and unlike most pieces of amber, this piece does not have any little bugs or anything stuck inside of it. But if you are drawn towards the piece of amber, then you will be getting your cards from deck number 2 today. And the final piece today is a piece of lava. And this also, it's all nice and smooth on the bottom there. And then on the top, you can see the little bumps and so on. And this little treasure was picked up in the Cayman Islands when I was on my honeymoon. So this little treasure actually came from hell. Yeah, that's right. In Grand Cayman, there is a little town and it's called hell. And that's where that came from. So if you are drawn to the piece of lava, then you will be getting your cards and your guidance from deck number 3 today. So without any further ado, let's move things off and let's get started. If you chose the piece of amethyst, this is your cards and your reading for this week and your guidance. I will also be putting this up on my webpage and my new YouTube channel. So if you do watch this on my new YouTube channel, the YouTube channel is under the name Marnie McBain. And if you do watch it on YouTube, please give me a like and please subscribe. It's kind of lonely over there right now. Okay, so for those of you that selected the amethyst, what do the cards have in store for you this week? What guidance do they have? Come on, cards, we need a card, please. Yeah, we got a card there. All right, so for this week, those of you that selected the piece of amethyst as your guide this week, you have the Spirit Fox. Trust your talents in changing times. This is your card this week. Okay. So I know that Kyle Gray, who developed these cards as the author in the little book, actually says that the Spirit Fox is one of his favorite cards in here. Because one of the things that we can all count on in life is change. Everything is always changing. Nothing is constant. And when we can accept change as a fact of life and a part of life, then change becomes easier for each and every one of us. So what happens often is when life throws us a curveball and throws us a huge change, a lot of us go into tension and we get tight and we go, oh my God, how am I ever going to handle this? And what we fail to realize in that moment of stress, that moment of surprise, is that every step that we've taken in our life up until that point, that curveball gets thrown in our direction, every step we've taken has given us the tools and given us the talents, given us everything we need in order to be able to handle that situation. But when we dive into stress, which comes from, the ancient part of our brain that goes into fight or flight, we are unable to tap into those talents. We're unable to trust them. We're unable to know that we have the capacity to deal with the change. So for those of you that selected the amethyst this week, you're being called upon to realize that you have everything within you to handle whatever comes your way, whatever changes come your way, whatever twists and turns come your way. I know that a lot of the people that follow me and follow Intuitive Butterfly are travelers. And travel involves change, whether it be getting to the airport and realizing that your flight has been either postponed or worse yet, canceled. You have within you all of the talents and skills you need in order to be able to deal with that situation. Some of the people that follow Intuitive Butterfly are going through some pretty drastic changes, i.e., relationship separations and breakups, or the change of career at a later stage in life. What you are being told this week is that you have everything you need within you in order to be able to handle whatever life throws at you this week. Are all changes bad? Absolutely not. So that's the other thing to keep in mind, is that when one door closes, another one opens. And in the moment, in that, I've just lost my job. My partner's just told me they want a divorce. In that moment, sometimes we can fail to see that it may have a silver lining. In fact, not may, it will have a silver lining. But in that moment of surprise and shock and hurt and all of the emotions that come up when change gets thrown at us, we fail to see or recognize, hey, you know what? This might not be a bad thing. I've had travelers tell me that their flights were canceled and they rescheduled and ended up in a completely different destination from the one they'd originally planned on going to. And then they find out that there was an earthquake or a thunderstorm that caused a landslide or something like that that happened at the original destination that they had planned on going to. You know what? That shock of having your plans changed and maybe the tears that came are perfectly normal. And yet, Creator was looking out for you. So I guess what I'm saying is, for those of you that picked the amethyst this week, there is likely some change coming. There's likely a curveball going to be thrown at you this week. Remember, you have everything inside of yourself that you need in order to be able to deal with that situation. Remember the saying, when one door closes, another one opens. And often, I would say probably 99% of the time, the door that opens is better for you. And in the moment, it's hard to see that, but it's reality. Okay. Your shadow this week. This makes perfect sense. Your shadow this week is the warrior. Be fearless and stand strong. Okay. So as the shadow this week, what this card is telling you is that in this moment, when the curveball comes flying at you, this is in the shadows. You've forgotten how to be that warrior, right? That's what I said right from the moment that I turned this card over, is that sometimes you forget, in the moment of stress, you forget that you have everything inside of you that you need. And this card is reinforcing that. So for this week, those of you that chose deck number 1 or the amethyst, remember, you have everything within you that you need in order to be able to cope with all of the change. And I'm talking about somebody stealing your parking spot, maybe. I'm talking about a flight delay. I'm talking about, maybe something much bigger than that. Whatever the case may be this week, and I do believe we're actually going into a new moon this week as well. So that's an indication sometimes that as we go into a new moon, that which we thought was necessary in our lives can sometimes start to be pulled away or pulled back. So yeah, for those of you that had the amethyst, just remember, you have everything within you that you need to be able to cope, to get through, and to get to an opening door, which has something better in store for you. So thank you so much for listening and joining me. All right, let's move on to those of you that selected the amber. So this will be cards from deck number 2. Okay, for those of you that selected the amber, we need guidance for those that selected the amber. I think we're going to go with that card that's on top there. It is really, really calling out. All right, for those of you that selected the amber, your guidance for this week is the guinea pig. Do your part to illuminate the universe. Okay, I'll let that sink in for just a moment. All right, so guinea pig. The guinea pig is a favorite childhood pet, of course. Not always a great choice because it doesn't have a long lifespan. So where am I going with this? Especially when it says, do your part to illuminate the universe. Oftentimes we're given a small opportunity, a small window of opportunity to be able to present our gifts to the world. Have you ever noticed if you listen to the story of, say, Jack Canfield or Louise Hay, I believe Vishen Lakhiani of Mind Valley also has a similar type story. A lot of authors will tell you the story where they have this big vision. They know what they want, and yet they don't know how to get it out into the world. And it's a chance meeting, a chance encounter. They get on an elevator with someone, and in an instant, they have that opportunity to be able to present their vision to the world. They have that opportunity to present their vision to someone who can take it to the world, whatever the case may be. And that's what I am picking up for those of you that chose pile number 2, deck number 2, the amber this week, is that if you have held a clear vision of what you want to get out into the world for a period of time, whether you are birthing a new business, whether you are writing a book, whether you are thinking of a career change, whether you are entering into a new relationship or leaving an old relationship, whatever the case may be, you're being presented with an opportunity this week to be able to shine a light on those situations and start to bring them into fruition. This is a true gift this week. You have something to offer to the world. Those of you that selected the amber, you have something to offer to the world. I also want to point out that the amber is a very grounding type energy. It's an energy very much tied to the earth, very much tied to ancient memories. So I want to guide any of you that selected this pile this week to pay really, really close attention to opportunities that are presenting themselves this week. Opportunities for you to be able to say, hey, this is who I am. I have something to offer to the world. Okay? A lot of us live in a state of fear. We live in, I am not good enough. We live in imposter syndrome. This card is telling you that you are not an imposter. You have something to offer. And this week you are being invited. You are being asked to share your gifts this week. All right, what is your shadow this week? Your shadow this week is the goat. Act from your innate wisdom. Okay. So this being the shadow, this card, you are being asked to share your gifts this week. This card is reminding you that you have those gifts. Before I'd even turned this card up, I said to you, if you are coming from a place of imposter syndrome, if you are coming from the place of I'm not good enough, for whatever reason, so many of us have histories. We all have baggage. We all have baggage. We all have junk in our trunk. The bottom line is that we need to move forward past that. Those were lessons. Our mother or our father or our caregivers or our teachers telling us that we were never going to be good enough. That is the past. Leave it there. You have something to offer to the universe to brighten things up. You have an innate wisdom. Don't let your innate wisdom be hidden this week. Bring it forward so that you can bring the light into the universe. That's your message this week. You've got something to offer. So get out there and offer it. I'm being asked and guided to tell you that the opportunity that will be presented to you, those of you that selected the amber pile this week, the opportunity that's being presented to you will be subtle. It's not going to be a lightning bolt. It's not going to be somebody coming out with a baseball bat chasing you so that you instantly know, hey, this is the moment. It's going to be subtle. You're going to have to pay attention. That's why you're here. That's why you're seeking guidance. So please pay attention to little signs and symptoms this week. Shine your light. Shine your innate wisdom on everything you can this week. Okay, moving along to those of you that selected the piece of lava. All right. So this is for deck number 3, reading number 3. Just going to move this out of the way. All right. Whoa, I don't know if you guys saw that. I hope you did. It was a little bit low, but as soon as I picked up the deck, this card literally jumped. So we're going to use that. For those of you that selected the lava for your reading and your guidance this week, your card is aloneness. Now, some of you might be going, I don't want to be alone. I've been alone for 2.5 years because of COVID, because of the lockdowns. I don't want to be alone anymore. This card isn't about that. This card is about giving yourself the opportunity to go within. You know, both of the first 2 decks were reminding people to use their gifts this week, that they have gifts and not to forget about them. This card is similar. This card has a similar meaning. It is reminding you to go within. You'll notice that the picture on the deck, I'm hoping that it's coming up clearly on the camera, is sort of a picture of an old sage or an old monk who's walking his path. What this card is telling you is that, again, it's similar to the goat. You have innate wisdom within you, but who can bring about that innate wisdom for you? Only you. There is no magic pill. There is no red pill. There is no blue pill. There is no magic pill that you can get from a pharmacy. There is no shaman that's going to snap his fingers and all of a sudden you're going to have your gifts revealed to you. The only way that we can access our gifts is from within ourselves. Why is that? It's because only we have lived our experiences, not just our experiences of this lifetime, but experiences of past lifetimes as well, which we may have brought energies forward. Only we can know what those are, what our gifts are from within. And the only way to access them is to go within ourselves. I'm just going to grab one thing here. So the deck that I'm currently reading from aligns with the traditional tarot, which I am still learning. So in the traditional tarot, the aloneness card is the hermit card, right? Aloneness, hermits. Hermits spend a lot of time on their own. And the message is, use circumspection and insight when dealing with anyone. One realizes the prudence of retiring away from the bustling of mundane affairs. When there is no significant other in our lives, we can either choose loneliness or we can choose to revel in the opportunities and freedoms that are now afforded to us. Okay. Unfortunately, for well over 2,000 years, we as a society, as a world community, this does not have to do solely with Christianity, nor Judaism, nor Hinduism, nor Buddhism. This has to do with the universal belief. And it doesn't matter whether you are Christian, Jewish, Wiccan, it doesn't matter. We are led to believe from a very young age that we need to grow up and find a soulmate or a partner in life. This has been handed down to us as universal law, and it is now being questioned. And it's being questioned on a huge, huge, huge level and basis around the world. You know, even as little as 50 years ago, a woman who wasn't married by the time she was 30 was considered a spinster and looked down upon, even as little as 30 or 50 years ago. That is changing. Why is that changing? That is changing because the power of aloneness, the power of the hermit, the power of understanding that we and only we within ourselves can become everything we can be. Is that to say that we should walk through life 100% alone 100% of the time? Absolutely not. Can any one of us do life 100% alone? Absolutely not. But there are periods in our lives, particularly periods in our lives when we are going through growth, whether that be spiritual growth, emotional growth, psychological growth, whatever level that's on, we need to do that alone. And so for those of you that selected the lava this week, you're being reminded of that. You're being reminded that there are certain stages in your life that you must walk alone. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's no shame in that. And in fact, that is when and where a lot of growth comes from. So your shadow this week is exhaustion. Okay. I actually wouldn't even call this one a shadow. This comes from fighting this. The more you fight aloneness, the more you fight not going within yourself in order to learn spiritual, psychological, and emotional lessons, the more you fight it, the more you're actually going to be facing exhaustion. Because the exhaustion card came up in your shadow position for this week, for those of you that selected deck number 3, what happens is when we are fighting against aloneness, we'll push ourselves into exhaustion because we're so scared of being alone. We will seek out friendships that are unhealthy for us in order to prevent us from being alone. There's a fear and a stigma that goes along with being alone. Turn that around and allow the aloneness to be a time of growth for you. Turn off the Netflix, turn off the YouTube, turn off the distractions, and revel in what comes up in that aloneness. And you know what? The exhaustion will fall by the wayside. Because when you start to get the downloads, when you start to get the answers that you're looking for, you're no longer tired. You're no longer exhausted. All right, so that is your readings for this week. The second last week of August, the almost end of summer for those of you in Canada and the United States. I believe other people in the Northern Hemisphere as well. So on that happy note, please join me over on Intuitive Butterfly page on Facebook, as well as my YouTube channel, which is under Marnie McBain, and my webpage, of course, intuitivebutterfly.com. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful week. We'll see you next week.